The Chargers have improved dramatically this offseason from signings and free agency such as J.C. Jackson and Sebastian Joseph Day to the draft where they got guys like Zion Johnson and Isaiah Spiller. In the offseason, you bring in these guys that can be instant improvements or instant starters or long-term options for your team. And I feel like sometimes we get so wound up in the off-season acquisitions and building the team through bringing in new people that maybe we forget about the talent that's already on this team that must develop, that could develop and have a breakout season. And that's exactly what this video is going to be about. We're going to be talking about 4 players on the defensive side of the ball that I think are poised to have a breakout season. And in a couple days from now, we're going to do the same thing on the offensive side of the ball. 4 players in the offense that I think are going to have a breakout season here soon. So, with that being said, my name is John. This is the Sports Advocate. If you really enjoy this content, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Also, give me some criticism down below because I'm really trying to improve for you guys. Comment who you think is the most likely player on this team to have a breakout year, to improve a dramatic amount over their past seasons with this team or just in general in the entire league if we've brought them in through free agency and you think that they're going to have a breakout year. And as always, if you really enjoy this content and you want to see that next video with the 4 breakout players in the offense, go ahead and hit subscribe so that you can see that and it will pop up on your homepage. But with that being said, let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get right into this. My 4 players on the defense that I think are poised to have a breakout season. Number 1, a guy that the Bolts took a risk on. Not only a risk, but kind of a big one. They traded up in the draft into the first round, the same year they got Justin Herbert, to go get Kenneth Murray. And I know. He maybe struggled last year. But let's take a look back. Not only was he quite good, a first-round pick, he's quite good in college, but his rookie season in 2020 and 2021, he had 107 tackles, which led the team. And if he got that many tackles on this team last year, that's third. Over 100 tackles is a very good stat. Also, he was second in tackles for loss and 4th in pass deflections for this team his rookie season. I think that's quite good numbers. Now, last year, he did miss 6 games because a couple different reasons. His brother, sadly, did pass away, but he played through it. I don't believe he missed any time due to it. He also ended up hurting his ankle and ended up needing ankle surgery this offseason, but he still played through it even after the injury. And I think that shows how much this guy brings to the table, how much he's willing to sacrifice for his team to make it to that promised land. And with these injuries and only playing 11 or 12 games, he still had 39 tackles, which it's not incredible, but I think the fact with everything that was going on, both mentally and physically, his game was going to go down. He was not going to play at his top level. But like we've seen with other players like Derwin James and Keenan Allen, players that have been to the Pro Bowl get injured, and they come back playing just as well, if not better. So why can't Kenneth Murray do that? So this year, let's talk about this year. Why do I think he's going to have a breakout year this year? Well, we got to assume health. Well, you just hope that he's healthy all year round, and that's where we're making decisions based on health. It was his only first time in the NFL that he's missed time. He played every single game in his rookie year. So you're hoping for health. That's a key contributor to this. Not only that, but you're in a linebacker room that you're not really sure what's going on. Calvin Noy was signed, but he's likely going to be playing on that pass rushing role more than anything, and he's probably not going to be an interior linebacker that often. Kaiser White, who led the team in tackles last year, now moved on. You have Kenneth Murray and you have Drew Tranquill. And Drew Tranquill, I really enjoy him. He's very fun to watch, and he has an incredible podcast. If you have not watched that yet, go ahead and go check that out. He just did an interview with Justin Herbert that was very, very good. Go ahead and check that out. But Kenneth Murray, I think, can bring a lot to this team and this next year. You hope that he's healthy. He's already had one season that's over 100 tackles, and like I told you, last year that would be third on the team if he had that many tackles. He's likely going to be linebacker 1 or still on the field often, with him and Drew Tranquil probably playing split reps if someone else doesn't step up. And Staley's defense, if you haven't watched it, he was with the Rams. I think everyone kind of knows about that, and they did incredible. They're number 1 defense when he was with the Rams. The way he did it, his defense, was he would have his linemen in his 3-4, 4-3 setup, 3-4 primarily, kind of do a 1.5 kind of, my cat is just taking up all the attention now, like a 1.5 stack on holes, which would mean that your lineman would be covering 1.5 holes. So you can either do 1, and when I'm referencing holes, I mean like in the line. So if you don't know, there's an odd side and even side on the sides from the center over. That's kind of how you decide run plays. So you'd call powers and stuff like that. Maybe like a 23 power, which would mean like you're running back, you're running a power in the 3-hole, things like that. On defensively, you're matching up with those gaps, those holes, you're filling gaps. So 1.5 gap would mean that your lineman or whomever is covering those gaps is covering 1 and then kind of shading over the second one. As the play progresses, they're also moving towards that second one. Or used to be a 2-gap defense, and that's kind of faded out because it's so difficult to have one guy cover 2 different gaps. And I feel like a lot of people have shifted to the 1 gap. But with Staley's defense, his 1.5 gap defense, it allows for difficulty in the defensive lineman. It causes difficulty that the offensive line can't move to the second level because the defensive line is set up in an I slot, which means you're on the inside of your most outside people. So like your tackle, you're on the inside of the tackle's face and the outside of the guard's face. You're in the middle. That's like a 4-eye spot. There can also be a 2-eye spot, which would mean you're in one more. And with how this defense works, it really makes it hard to double up to your linebacker, which then in turn allows you're having one defensive line player, having 2 people block him, which is making it so that the linebacker is still free and can openly view the gaps and shoot them and go tackle the running back for a tackle for loss, which he did very good at his rookie year. And I think that's why his tackles, as long as he's healthy, will likely go up, because the type of defense that Staley runs is going to allow him to be free and go after these running backs and stuff. As well as a lot of people said that his zone defense struggled, which I do believe is true. It seems that this defense is shifting towards a man defense, which I believe Kenneth Murray runs a little bit better in. And I think Kenneth Murray has every reason that we should believe in him, that he's going to turn around and be that number 1 linebacker on this team. And not only that, but Staley's defense really doesn't rely heavily on linebackers. If you watched it forever with the Rams, he's not heavily relied on, even with the Broncos, he's not heavily relying on those linebackers. I think that's why Kenneth Murray doesn't have to be a Pro Bowler, but he has the talent, and he's shown it, that he can be a top guy on a team. Now, next up, I'm going to take a drink real quick. Next up, we got another young guy, extremely young guy, who the Chargers didn't really take a risk on. They got lucky with. Asante Samuel Jr. Now, everyone was so excited when this pick came through. How did he fall to the Chargers? Oh my gosh, we're so excited, and I was there too. But last year there were some difficulties. Last year was his rookie year. He ended up missing 5 games because he has 2 concussions in an extremely short period of time, which is terrible news. But let's think to the beginning of the year when he looked really, really good. He had 2 incredible interceptions, I think, in the same game against the Chiefs, in a game that, it was so fun to watch. They were turning it over like crazy, the Chiefs were, and everyone was like, what is going on here? And Asante Samuel was a big part of that game. Not only that, but he was playing very good when he was on the field year-round. Early on, he was a favorite until Parsons ran away with it for Defensive Player of the Year, along with the Broncos cornerback as well. Now, he had 43 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 11 pass deflections for this team in the games he did play. Now, he missed 5 games, so he played 12, with 17 games in the season now. And honestly, that's not bad. That's 4th in tackles for DB on this team. DBs, including safeties, which normally, along with linebackers, lead the team in tackles. And he's second among cornerbacks. I think that's very, very good numbers. Not only that, but he did that while missing 5 games. So where would he have been if he didn't miss those 5 games? Well, he's probably at 60 or so tackles, which jumps him over Michael Davis and a lot of other players along with that team. So he's already proved that he's quite a capable player. But why this year? Is it going to be... What's so important about this year that he can improve that much? Well, health. Again, like we brought up with Kenneth Murray. If he would have stayed healthy, I think a lot of people would have already realized how good this kid can be. But not only that, but the pass rush that has improved dramatically. Not only Joey Bosa was already there, but Khalil Mack, Sebastian Joseph Day, Austin Johnson, Fox, the list goes on. The improvement on the D-line will not only force balls out faster, which could cause interceptions or just bad areas thrown that he can deflect away or the wide receiver won't be in range of. But it may also force some gutsy throws and early throws because a quarterback might not feel comfortable in that pocket. And what does an early throw mean? Well, a wide receiver's either not looking, the cornerback is still locked down with him in a press or anything like that. I think it adds a lot to a cornerback when your D-line's good, and it's going to make him develop even faster. Not only that, but again, with the man coverage being a thing that the team seems to be shifting towards with players like J.C. Jackson and all that, Asante Samuel did pretty good in man coverage, not only last year, but also in college. Not only that, but also when he was in the slot, he was one of the best in college. Now, J.C. Jackson will likely be that slot guy. But in these different schemes, these different plays that Staley likes to rotate through, we have a great guy we can be very confident in the slot, in Asante Samuel Jr. So he can play in the slot. He's a very good man. The defensive line is going to improve and allow for maybe not as perfect of throws because they don't have time. And he's also got another year with the team. A year to improve. He's young. He can learn. He's learning schemes. He's learning the defense. Plenty of time to improve. And that's something that, you're always going to improve year by year. In your early years, you'd hope. Keyword there. But why would you not expect that from a guy who already showed that he's capable of playing at a high level before his injuries ended up taking him out for 5 games? Now, a guy that we haven't seen play on this team yet, and yes, we're looking at draft guys because I think you can come to this team and have an instant impact like Kenneth Murray, like Derwin James, like Joey Bosa. These guys all had instant impacts on this team. Now, who do I think will have an instant impact? Of a rookie. Well, there's options. There is. We drafted 2 cornerbacks, a D tackle, but I'm going with the safety. JT Woods, 3rd round safety, who we have not seen play. He did not participate in rookie minicamp. If you want to go check that video out, I have it up on my channel, my reaction to the minicamp. But not only that, but when he did play for Baylor, JT Woods looked very good. His 2021-22 season with Baylor, his senior year, I do believe, he had 6 interceptions, which is something that Staley loves, turning that ball over. And this team in general wants to improve on, is getting the ball back. Getting the ball back to Justin Herbert's hands. And he's proved that he can do that. 6 interceptions last year. I think 1 or 2 of them were returned for touchdowns. That's very, very good news. Not only that, but he had 57 tackles, which again is very good. And that being said, college only plays about 12 or so games. So if you stretch out over a 17-game season, he's going to be at, 70, 80. And in a safety position who is really used aggressively in the NFL. Most of the time, it's a linebacker or safety leading a team, like I brought up earlier, in tackles. That only gives you more reason to believe that a guy like JT Woods can instantly come to this team and get tackles. There's no reason why. So this year, why do I think he's going to come out swinging like that? Well, there's a couple of reasons. For one, Nas Adderley, who a lot of people aren't super confident in. Me, on the other hand, I do like him a lot. But even if you don't, he had 99 tackles last year. 1 short of 100, which, like I have brought up, is a very good number. So if you guys aren't confident in Nasir Adderley, but he's right there at 100, but you are confident in JT Woods, why would you not expect him to come in and start very well? Not only that, but Derwin James, who will likely be playing multiple different positions in this defense, from an extra guy in the box to coming up on man on these wide receivers, or man on tight ends like Travis Kelce, or him dropping back at safety, is going to allow for you to bring in JT Woods or an extra safety to run with these schemes if Derwin's playing more of that linebacker role, or just when these guys need rest, because I think he's pretty clearly the next guy up in the safety room after Nas Adderley. So he's going to get playtime, which is going to lead to tackles, which is going to lead to development because he's learning things on the fly. But also, let's look at some of the other safeties that Coach Staley has coached up. Nas Adderley, who had 99 last year, that's a huge improvement. That's a big, big improvement from his previous year, which is 30 more than last year. I have it listed down here. I wanted to make sure. 30 more than the previous year. A big, big improvement. So why couldn't he make JT Woods look incredible like that if he's improving Nas Adderley's by 30? Not only that, but John Johnson, who was the Rams safety when Staley was there, had 105 tackles. He had only one other season that was above 100 out of his 6-year career. And with Staley, he has 105. That's very, very good. Staley has done an incredible job at making safeties a big part of his scheme, and even if they're not great at their position, he's able to make them look very good, at least on the stat sheets, because of how he runs his schemes by bringing people forward and all that stuff. So now we have 3 really young guys who I think might have breakout seasons, who can improve dramatically. If they don't have a breakout season, they'll at least improve and become a part of this team. Kenneth Murray, Asante Samuel Jr., and JT Woods. I'm a big fan of all these guys, actually. Big fan. I got Kenneth Murray's jersey before he even played a snap. But there's one guy who I think clearly has already had many breakout seasons, top seasons, multiple-time Pro Bowler. And maybe how does he have a breakout season? Well, I think what this team has brought to this team will improve him in a large way. Not a breakout season, but I think he's going to get a lot better because of what this team has done. And that man is Joey Bosa. Fan favorite. One of my favorites on this defense. Now, let it be known that Bosa has missed time every other year. Last year, he played every single game in the season. Maybe all but one. And when you look at how he's played, it's weird, but he misses time, then he plays a full season. Misses time, plays full season. It's just a thing that happens. So maybe you worry that he misses some time this year. Now, you hope he doesn't. That's a key thing here, but you just have to think about it a little bit. Now, last year, he had 51 tackles, 10.5 sacks, which is very, very good, especially for what was going on, and 7 forced fumbles, which was the most of his entire career. He played extremely good and was a Pro Bowler, and a lot of people were saying, wow, he looked amazing, but this was one of his worst seasons when he played a full 16 games. a full season. It was. When he's played a full season, or at least 16 games, this was statistically his worst season. Now he's getting doubled and all that stuff all the time, which going to make a big dent in how many numbers you can put up. But he was 13th in sacks in the league. He was big time when they needed a sack. He was there to get it. He had a lot of pressures and really hurried guys and allowed for other people on the line to get pressure and sacks because he was getting doubled and tripled. Consistently doubled and tripled. But he really lacked support, not only on the run game, which he was very, very good in, but also on the rushing. The other side of the ball, you had Uchenna Nwosu, who has moved on from the team. You had Jerry Tillery, who, he's better at pass rush than he is at run defense, but he's not incredible. You have Linval Joseph, who at nose tackle, you're going to constantly get swarmed and not be able to do a whole bunch. And then you had guys like Chris Rumpf, who just haven't had enough time in the league to really start to prosper. But now, Joey Bosa, this year, has guys. Now, when he had Melvin Ingram, he was able to get his 12.5, 13 sacks each year. And he looked very good, but let's not be silly. Melvin Ingram versus Khalil Mack, they're not comparable. They're not. And that's what Joey has now. More support. Not only on the other side of the ball with Khalil Mack, which means he can't be doubled all the time because you can't double him and Mack. But also on the run game, he is helping Sebastian Joseph Day and Austin Johnson, which allow him to really blitz after that quarterback in the pass because he doesn't have to worry about plays in which they run the ball and he's the best option on run defense because he was last year. He was the best lineman for run defense. And now he doesn't have to worry about that as much because he has support, so he can really go after the quarterback consistently on each and every down instead of having to maybe stop and go a little slow at the beginning to make sure it's not a run and then go, which at that point the quarterback's already able to find somebody. So he has helped run defensively, but Khalil Mack's incredible on pass defense, which can take pressure off of him. Sebastian Joseph Day can get to him with his size and strength. And you have other guys who have been brought to this team who can sub in. Not even that, but Kyle Van Noy, who can also help on the other side or relieve stress off Joey Bosa if he's not feeling it, if he's tired. And you don't have to worry about Joey Bosa playing so much and then forced to pull him. Because there was multiple times this season where the other team goes for a fourth down and Joey Bosa was so tired that he couldn't go out there. And they would do it. They would just run the ball down their throats because the best run defender was not there. Or they didn't have the pass rush that they needed because Joey Bosa was tired. There was times where the fourth quarter Joey Bosa barely played because they needed him for that last defensive possession. Now you don't have to worry about that as much. You can rest him because you have Khalil Mack and Kyle Van Noy who you trust. But they also improve the pass defense, which does help Joey Bosa because that means that in the early play, the quarterback's not really able to get rid of the ball as early, which gives Joey Bosa more time to pursue the quarterback, which is, again, great news. J.C. Jackson, you're not going to force a throw to J.C. Jackson unless you have an opening, which means you're going to take more time for Mack and Bosa to get to the guy. Asante Samuel, I have plenty of trust in. Derwin James, plenty of trust in. These guys can hold down a wide receiver or a tight end for a little bit longer to give Bosa enough time to get to that quarterback, to get those sacks, to get those pressures, to get those hits or tackles. And that's just great news for Bosa. So although Bosa has already been a Pro Bowler and really solidified himself in this league, he can still have an incredible season that's better than his past few because what this team has brought. Not only that, but Staley's first coaching gig in the league was an outside linebacker coach with the Bears, which, by the way, Bosa's now an outside linebacker. He used to be an edge more than anything, but now he's an outside linebacker. So Staley's literally coached his position for his entire NFL career. And now he has one of the best in the league at that position, who he can do whatever he wants with. And Joey can do it all. Run defense, blitzing, getting to the quarterback. He can even drop back in zone. And Staley's going to use him. He is. He's going to put him on this side, put him on this side, put him on the inside, drop him back in zone. He's going to do everything. And Bosa's going to love it. And he's going to thrive in it. Last year we saw it already, but now that Bosa has extra help, he can't be doubled and washed out of the play because they just know that he's the biggest worry. Now they have to look at the other sideline and be like, what do we do here? If Matt gets on fire one game, you're not going to comfortably double him and not worry about Bosa. You just can't. And another reason is Leonard Floyd, who was with the Rams, also with the Bears for a time. He was with the Bears. Staley becomes coach of the defensive side on the Rams. He brings in Leonard Floyd, who only had 3 sacks last year. And the 1 year that Staley was the Rams defense coordinator, Leonard Floyd went from 3 sacks the previous year to 10.5 that year. Bosa already had 10.5 this past year. And now that he's playing with Staley's defense and Staley's bringing in the guys to run his defense, what makes you think Bosa can't get 14? I believe it. That's the video. 4 guys who I think will have incredible seasons based on our expectations. 3 guys who are very young and have plenty of potential that I think a lot of us believe in, and 1 guy who's already solidified himself in this league who can still improve a lot. And that's what Staley does. He takes players that maybe aren't incredible and improves them enough to be that number 1 guy on our team. So comment down below what your thoughts are. Who do you think is going to have a breakout season? Do you agree with my takes? Do you think one of these guys is going to fail? Or do you think one of these guys is going to be a Pro Bowler next year that already wasn't? I don't know. Give me your takes down below. But, as always, if you enjoyed this video, give me a like. Give me some criticisms. Comment what I asked you to, because I'd love to have a conversation with you guys. And if you really enjoy this content and you want to see the next video in a couple days from now about my 4 offensive picks, hit subscribe because I really appreciate it. And every single one of you is noticed and appreciated. And as always, I hope it taught you something. There's a lot of information here, and I hope I didn't go through too fast, but I hope you guys learned something. Hope it made you smile. Hope it made you laugh. That's something that's really important to me. Affecting someone else's day in a great way. And as always, you guys all be safe out there.
But something deep inside won't